All right, everyone. So there's some speculation that Edge might possibly be coming back to WWE. On the WWE Vault YouTube channel, the company posted story of John Cena versus Edge rivalry history 2002 to 2010. While this is common for the companies amid Cena's retirement tour, the timing is no coincidence. When the last time his Now tournament was announced, it also had another tease. Amid the narration, Cena mentioned that there'd be wrestlers participating who were not part of the company. This was obviously a nod to TNA and AAA stars, but it also was a subtle way to tease the fans, and they bought it hook, line, and sinker. Websites and fan speculation went wild with either Edge or Chris Jericho being speculated to show up for the tournament. Ultimately, the Wrestling Observer had an update for Edge's potential return. They already decided what they're doing for Cena's retirement, and Adam Copeland, they don't want Adam Copeland. Why would they want Adam Copeland to begin with? Cena might want him, but you know that one's not happening, and there's nothing in that direction. I guess some people haven't told people that he just left to do some acting work, and it has nothing to do with WWE or being Cena's last opponent. So, story of John Cena versus Edge rivalry history, according to Meltzer, not a chance that this happens. But I don't think it's something you could rule out entirely because this is a way that WWE has done this in the past. It's just true, right? They have done this thing where they start posting to drop little hints. I think they did this with AJ Lee right before she returned. So I'm not predicting that Edge is returning, but I do think it's worth noting, right, that they did do this, and it's interesting because this isn't just a John Cena match, right? This is the story of the rivalry between John Cena and Edge. So that's a little bit different, I will say. That's a little bit different. Um, Now, in terms of is it something I'd support and want to see? Of course, I think WWE right now is really navigating tough waters because I think the honeymoon period of Triple H running the show, the honeymoon period with TKO is beginning to end. I really do believe that. I think I've seen a lot more negative online talk about WWE than at any point since Triple H had taken over and Vince McMahon was gone from the company, right? So obviously, if you go back to when Vince was kind of gone but still running the show behind the scenes, there was still a little bit of negativity. But after that, we had a honeymoon period, and I warned at that time. I said, "Listen, there's going to come a time where this honeymoon period's over, and how WWE responds to that is going to be crucial." And I just think that there's been kind of the perfect storm of negative feeling from the audience for various different reasons that has created where we are now. It's you go back to WrestlePalooza, you talk about that, people just weren't fully happy. You have the return of Brock Lesnar and how all of that went with his match with Cena. You have the ticket prices stuff that people are complaining a little bit about. The heel turn of Cena, which I supported, thought was a good idea, but how they handled that, people weren't too happy. So I don't know here, right? I think this would be a huge win for WWE to have this. I don't know if it's going to be the final match, but just having it in any way, shape, or form, even if it wasn't for a match, just for one promo segment or something, I think that would be cool. Have him return to help out Cena or screw over Cena, whatever it is. Having him return in any way, shape, or form, I think would be good. And I will say that WWE really has to be careful now with what they tease and how they tease stuff because people are starting to get a little bit frustrated, right? We saw this with the WrestleMania teaser of what happened when the first teaser was dropped. Everybody was talking about, oh my God, is this a Chris Jericho return? Is this? Is this? Then it ended up just being the location announcement for WrestleMania. That turned some people off, and I can't blame them for that. And when you have this, and I understand what he's saying, right? That okay, AAA stars and TNA stars are technically not part of the WWE. I understand it, but even in that tease, it's just one of those things that I'm not so sure putting that into the formal announcement is worth it. Okay, that's cool. We're gonna have TNA and AAA stars. That's cool, right? But I don't know if teasing people in that way and getting the rumor mill going for this is great. I just don't know it. And so I guess there's no chance of this happening. At least that's according to Dave Meltzer. And I certainly think it's tough to kind of have it be seen as final match because There's just not enough time. Um, if Edge returned, and I just don't think WWE at the end of the day wants Cena's final match to be somebody who's not really associated with the company any longer, anyways, right? Like I don't think they would want to use like the whole point of them having this tournament is to have it so whoever ends up facing Cena gets the benefit of facing John Cena in his final match. You don't really want to give that necessarily to Edge, right? That's not really, and Edge is not someone that needs it either. So it's one of those things I don't know if at the end of the day they would even want to do that. But can he return in some way, shape, or form? I think that would get fans pretty excited. And I think they have to do this. Even the stuff with AJ Lee, it's like think about the excitement they had for the AJ Lee return and how all of that went down. And I think people loved it. We haven't really seen AJ Lee since. So, you know, WWE these last 2 months of John Cena being a part of the company, these last 2 months, is going to be important. They have to deliver on this. I think this tournament's a great idea. I talked about how I was a little nervous about how they were going to build to this thing because we've seen, you know, thank God for the AJ Styles match, to be completely honest with you, right? That AJ Styles John Cena match gave us like a good taste in our mouth about, oh man, okay, we finally had something good over the last few months in the farewell tour of John Cena. Like that's good. Okay. Whew, thank God, right? That's how we all feel about it. Um, but these are the most important 2 months, right? This has to be done right. In this tournament, what it is going to do is build us to that, right? It's building in a storyline. So even if whoever Cena's facing isn't necessarily someone he has a lot of history with, well, that doesn't really matter. That nobody really cares because the whole point of this is they want a tournament to earn the spot. So that builds in some story without Cena actually having to be there. That's a good decision. If we didn't want to see this be a thing like with Brock Lesnar, where they just okay, this person's just going to be facing them, and they do no build to it, it's kind of underwhelming. This way here, they're having a tournament to get that honor, right? Whoever gets this is going to have earned it, and that's what we want to see. So thank you all for watching. I'm going to be covering this really, really carefully. Part of me is really depressed, to be completely honest with you, that we didn't get Cena's, like we didn't get what I was hoping for when Cena turned heel, which is I really thought there was a chance that they were going to do, because remember his big thing was I'm going to ruin wrestling. That was his big thing, right? That was what was being, that's what he was saying. And I was really hoping we were going to get this storyline of him holding the belt the whole entire time, and then finally, at the end, we'll decide, does he actually just take the belt and leave, right? It's that match to decide that. I thought that would be so freaking cool to get that. And we're not getting that. But maybe they're going to have something cool here. All I'll say is they better be able to deliver, because if they don't, people are going to be pissed. So thank you all for watching.